Hey. I don't know what it is. Every time I get ready to do a video, that doggone furnace come on. And it is distracting to me. I don't like that. I hate that. That's the devil working over in that end of the house. That's the devil. The devil. Hey, blessings. Listen, I just got off a video, and I hope it blessed you all. The video was, I got hacked. And so many of us, we've been hacked by the enemy, and we don't even realize that what happened to us is he got us. You know, the first thing that they tell you when you go out and you get a computer is it comes and they tell you about Norton, McAfee. It's an antivirus software that you put on your computer because the computer is your garden. And what they're saying is that even though we made this computer and this computer from the factory is good, there's still an enemy out there. The enemy was out there before the computer was made. It was out there before humans were made. In fact, it may have been present at the time that all that was going on. And so as you were becoming human beings, to be a human being, that means you are being, that is that you are not fully there. You are being human. That means it's going to take time. When Jesus says, he says, I will make you fishers of men. I will make you fishers of men. That means that you didn't have all the stuff that you needed to have when he gave the commandment to tell you what you was going to do. That was going to come over time. And so it's the same way with us being humans, human beings. We are being something that we have not become quite yet. And so the enemy is there. And since he knows that you ain't quite become what God wanted you to become, what he says is, I'm going to try to intercept that thing before it happens in its fullness. Because if that happens, then I ain't got nothing coming. So listen, I know I talked about that, but again, I just feel like it's in my spirit. You know how they say the spirit? I feel like it's in my spirit, it's in my soul, it's way down in my bones, like Jeremiah says, like fire shut up in my bones. And for some reason, I want to double back to that. If y'all would allow me, indulge me, please. I want to double back because I still think that there's some manna. I think it's some manna there for us. I think there's still some meat on the bones. I ain't even got close. I mean, I gave and you ate very finicky, or I served it very finicky. So it was so much more left there that I could have put on your plate, but I didn't do it. And so I want to do a little bit more with that today. And so I'm not going to make this very long. I'll make it short, and you might even enjoy it because it's short. So I want to go back and I want to look at something, because in Hosea 4 and 6 says that my people, this is God now speaking on behalf of the children of Israel, and he's saying, my beloved, these belong to me. He says that my people are destroyed for a lack of knowledge, or we could say that they perish for a lack of knowledge, in that they reject knowledge. They reject it. And that is so paramount with us today. It's not that the knowledge is not available. The knowledge is available, but we reject it. We reject it, beloved. And so as a result of rejection of that knowledge, what God says is that now you perish. I hate that you're perishing, but this is your fault. It's your fault that you perish. And so I want to use that as a springboard, a catalyst, as it were, to take us back into the Word of God from a few days ago. And I want to just touch it just really quick and highlight some areas that you may find beneficial or interesting, or food for thought. So I want to bring that to your attention. And so in doing so, and we still dealing with this message of I got hacked. Y'all, I gave y'all a little bit of my story about me getting hacked. I got hacked in a whole lot of ways, just like a lot of y'all have been hacked. And just like a lot of us, we continue to be hacked. But what I'm trying to tell you today is the hacking comes from a lack of knowledge. Trust me. It comes because we don't know certain things. But the enemy knows. He knows that we don't know. And so he can introduce things to us in our system and catch us so far off guard. And when we finally figure it out, it's too late. It's too late. So here in Genesis chapter 3, verse number 6, it says, and the woman saw that the tree was good for food. And I want to just stop right there. I'm going to deal with the rest of that, but I want to just stop right there. It was good for food. Now listen, she's looking at this tree that the Lord has already said that you shouldn't eat. Don't partake of this tree. But when Satan comes in and he deceives her because deception is always cloaked. It's always cloaked in a lie. So he comes in and deceives her. But when he gets finished, by the time he gets finished, I should say, she said it looks good. Looks good. And it looks good for food. It looks good for food. Food now. What can we say more about that? What can we say about food that would resonate to us, that would bring some type of light? It would polarize our lives in a positive way. Well, food deals with basic needs. That's what food deals with. It deals with day-to-day sustenance that you need to survive. And so the enemy is always going to come at you with what you need next. See, I hear a lot of people, they say, well, listen, you can't give us word when, I don't have a job. You can't give me gospel when I ain't got food in the cabinets and all that stuff. I ain't got no money in my pocket. You got to take care of the essentials, because I can't even hear what you're saying about Jesus when I'm hungry. And I mean that literally. Or when I need money, I ain't got no gas in my car. I can't hear you talk about that. So the enemy comes in and why not? Because he understands that part about your nature, the natural side of you as well. So when he comes to you, he wants to come to you and address your basic needs. But here's a caveat for your basic needs, because although we know that the enemy is going to come in and he's going to use different things to address your basic needs. And, I always use analogies with, male and female and relationships, because I got a little knowledge on that. I don't know how I got that knowledge. But that was a long time ago. Long time ago. Long time. Way back. And way back when the dinosaurs roamed here. Way back then. That's when I picked it up. I don't know about it now. I don't know about it now. Anyway, so when he comes in, he is going to touch what he knows and what we feel that we can't do without. And so when I talk about relationships, most of us, we end up getting into something that we feel that we can't do without. And the travesty of that is in the relationship, whether it's usually maybe one-sided or so, most times it's not balanced, but in that communication, in that relationship, somebody is trying to gain dominance. Somebody is trying to gain control. And so when they're trying to gain control, they want you and they want to keep you where they want to keep you at. And so they'll give you just enough to make you think that you need them. The enemy gives us just enough to make you think that you need him. It could be on your job. They give you just enough, 2.5% pay raise, just to keep you on the job. They know that you're worth more than that. They know that. But they also know that you have positioned yourself to where you just can't run out and get another job, or you just ain't going to leave them. You need them. See what I'm saying? That's how it works. A man that he makes more money than the woman, and he dangles it in front of her. And he talks to her in a way, and he manipulates her to make her feel like you can't live without me. So it's food. It's food. Let's start off with food. She saw that it was good for food. My substance. Now, let's look at that. Here's the caveat. How many of us, because we started off by saying my people perish or are destroyed for a lack of knowledge. And I told you in my last message that if somebody is going to give you some fruit, the fruit is the fruit of who they are. They can't give you other than who they are. And so when you look at people and you expect people to do better, they can't do They can't go outside of themselves. They can't. And that's the reason why, you can look at situations and, because it's different levels. We on different levels. And so if you ever looked at a situation and you might see this girl out in the street or guy out in the street, and the behavior that they exhibit is just atrocious. I mean, it's like, oh my God. I mean, really? Are you really going to act like that? Are you really going to behave like that in the store? This, that, and the other. I mean, are you going to talk like that in public? Those types of things. And it's like, why would they do? They do that because that's who they are. And maybe they do that because they saw, this is what I saw mama do. This is what I saw daddy do. Oftentimes we say that the apple don't fall far from the tree. And there's a lot of truth to that. When you see the daddy go to prison, a lot of times it falls into place that the son, he ends up going to prison, and it becomes a domino effect. Conversely, if the daddy goes on to be a doctor, 9 times out of 10, or a high percentage, that the son goes on to be a doctor, or the daughter that she goes on to be a doctor. So positive begets positive, negative, it begets negative, right? So the point I'm trying to make is that when you look at the food can only be what it is. And so we're expecting people to give us something that they don't have. Hence, the enemy was giving you what he was. He's a deceiver. He's full of deception. He's full of lies. And so when you eat of his fruit, it was a tree that was in the garden, but the Bible does not say that it was a tree of God. It was 2 trees that they couldn't get close to. It was a tree of life, and it was a tree of knowledge of good and evil. But it's not real clear. See, I can't say that the jury is out on that, because everything came from God. So God gives us free will. And once he places us in an environment, he says, I want to know if you, in and of your own accord, your own will you love me? Will you obey me? Will you do what I say without me programming you? I don't want to be the one that programs you. Now, the system, the Antichrist, the false prophet, the stuff that's going to come down the road, it might want to do that, but that's not God. God wants you to freely come into worship and to serve him, not to be made, not to be entailed information, technology that would make you go left or to make you go right. So it becomes this food that is inside the enemy. And because he has infiltrated that tree so much that when you eat it, you become infiltrated with his stuff. So now what he is, it becomes you. And now you done created a mess. And this is the reason why I don't know if y'all remember, I talked about the medical sign, and I talked about it was, it's two snakes on a pole. And they go up, they wrapped around this pole, and at the top of it, the 2 snakes, they face each other. One is good and one is evil, right? They go up together. So in other words, if one is a virus that goes up, you get bit by the virus. The other one that goes up is a vaccine. And so that comes, and it's an antidote. I'll save that for another day. But it's still a part of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And we'll talk about that. But so I want to just talk about this in a practical sense with this whole food piece. So with the food piece, how many of us, because we preface this by saying that Hosea 4:6, my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. How many of us, when we look back on life and how grandmama was raised, she raised mama, then mama raised you, and now everybody in the house is eating the food. I'm talking about literal food now. They eating the food from from the great grandmama's mama that only knew what she knew. And so it got passed down because that became the fruit. And now the fruit that she has, which was generations ago, becomes the fruit that you are today. And the reason why you still eating off of that tree, off of that fruit, is because you have not educated yourself to eat better. And so a lot of us right now, we got diabetes, high blood pressure, cardiovascular disease. We got all that stuff because you are eating the wrong foods. And you're eating those foods because somebody gave it to you. They had it. It was in the cabinets. It was in the refrigerator. It was the recipes in they soul, and we call it soul food. And they said, this is what you eat. Is a whole bunch of salt, a whole bunch of sugar, and a whole bunch of fat. And that became your diet. And that also became your demise. And because we didn't study, and even when we got better, when we didn't have to eat the worst of the pig and all that stuff, we still didn't educate ourselves. And so from a health standpoint, we are still doing poorly because we didn't educate ourselves. So that's part of this. That's part of the system as well. Well, so when you see it good for food, okay, how else can we look at that? So I wanted just to break a little something else off of there so you can see it a little different. The other thing as it relates to basic needs, and I'll close, is, and I'm going to work my way towards digital currency and all that stuff. But basic foods also would entail money, because it deals with the basics, the necessities of life. So just as it was with food, we didn't get an understanding of what a dollar meant and the usefulness of a dollar. What do you use money for? That's the reason why when they talk about the stimulus, they stimulate. The stimulus is just what it is. It's to give you something to stimulate the economy. It's basically something that they give you that you give them back. But what we're supposed to do, if we were educated, and we had the mental capacity, the faculties up here to look out for what's going to be best, not only for us, but for generations of us to come. What we would do is take $400 of that money and invest it. But no, we can't invest it because even though they say to us, or you say to them that you need, where's my stimulus? I got people around me right now talking about, I can't wait for my stimulus. Well, you was doing all right without the stimulus. You really was. And I'm going to knock it. People, I know some people out there are really, falling on hard times. I'm not saying that. It's some of us that, some people, they really need that. But I'm talking about those that are taking advantage of the system. And you take a stimulus, it ain't going in the baby's mouths. It ain't going to pay bills. It's going towards, the latest LeBrons, the latest Jordans, and all that kind of stuff. That's not what it's for. And that is a mentality that is there, that when you eat of it, then you die, because nobody's there to teach you, to tell you that's not the purpose of the money. That's not the purpose of basic needs. It's a deceit. It's a deception from the devil. And that keeps us in this vacuum where we're trapped and we continue to be sucked in and in need of something, always needing, give me, give me, give me. And so you stay really close to the system, That's what the enemy is trying to do with us. And now I ain't talking about, this ain't about color. This is about people that are marginalized, that are disadvantaged, that are disinherited, and all that. People that don't know a whole lot. People that don't have folks in high places. As I talked about Cush and Ahimaaz last week or so. One, because of his lineage, he was able to get to certain places. The other one, because of his lineage that demoted him or pushed him down, had the foot on the neck, so to speak. It was hard. It was difficult for that person to get to the king, although that person had a word. Although that person had the wherewithal to have an answer to help in a day like the day that we live in. So we gotta start being smarter. And don't be so, so ignorant to ignore of things that are around us that the enemy is trying to put in place for us to basically keep us in the same spot or to control us. Because those out there that's got it all, they trying to figure out what can I do with these old fools down here and to control them. I can, whatever I tell them, because I control the media, they'll do it. I can program them to do what I want them to do. But we got to be smarter. Okay? That's all I want to come back with. And I'll probably say a little bit more about this, to come. I just wanted to kind of deal, and I didn't even finish that part because the other part of it is it was good for food. It was good for the eyes. It dealt with the emotional part of a person. See, that's how the enemy gets in. Your basic needs, the food, then the eyes, what you see, you desire. He makes it desirable. I want that. So anything that you want, it starts to mess with your emotions. And then the last part is, it says that it was to make one wise. Now we're talking about a tree. And you tell me, if we talking about all that, this was in the beginning. And you going to tell me that ain't tied to Revelations? You going to tell me that ain't tied to an Antichrist? You going to tell me that ain't tied to a false prophet? You going to tell me that ain't tied to the book of Daniels? To make one wise? Intel? To make one wise? We are in the information technological era. This is what it's all about right now. Information. We got more information at our fingertips than we ever had before. One, to make one wise. Your cell phone. That cell phone can do miracles. And so I'll close it right here. I know I've been saying I'm gonna close, but one of the things I want to deal with is because the scripture says that you should not touch it. That's the tree of knowledge of good and evil. You should not touch it, nor should you partake or eat of it. You should eat it. So to touch means to reach for something. So I've got something, and I'm going to come back because the Lord is talking to me about this other piece, because see, everything is digital. Everything is technological. Everything is intel right now. So we need some time. And so with this, what I am saying is that from an investment standpoint with money, because see, it's digital currency out there. And anytime you see all these billionaires going towards a certain thing, it's something to that. Now, I ain't saying that they saved. They probably ain't saved, but they moving towards it. If they moving towards it, that's telling me that it's something to that. These big time billionaires, they putting their money, they putting their billions into digital currency, cryptocurrency. And so my question to the Lord, and we talking about this right now, because if God is saying, don't touch it, don't eat it is one thing. I get all that. But to don't touch it is another thing. I need some revelation on that one, because what I want to know is, because I'm not going, I'm talking about me right now, as far as getting in me, that ain't getting in me. But in order for me to take it and to touch that tree of knowledge of good and evil, or I'll take your stuff and build me a house. I'll take your stuff and build me riches and all that, but I'm doing it for the kingdom. So I got to get more clarity on that part to understand when God says don't touch it, because I don't think that means that you don't invest. I think that it means that don't reach for it in a negative way to become dependent and all that stuff. That's what I think that is moving towards more so than anything else. Ultimately, it will get to be digitized, though. It's going to fall into the digital place. I think we have time to get ourselves together in an economy, and I'm going to get to that when I get back to the black horse and talk about the economy. But God, we need this time now to prepare for what is to come, because once that digital market, that digital world materialize in its fullness, then at that point there's going to be a separation from church in the worldly ways. So I'm definitely not going to be using their thing, because in Revelations it says it's three things. Either you're going to have its name, its mark, or you'll have the name of the beast, the mark of the beast, or it's one other one. I forget now what it is. But anyway, that's what you're going to need in order to buy and to sell. To buy and to sell. When you come, you're going to have the number, the name, or the mark. The number of the beast, the name of the beast, or the mark of the beast. Okay, I'm going to park it right there, and we will come back and talk a little bit about this a little later. Okay, God bless y'all. Have a good day.